Editing assemblies at the time of takeoff. So there's a number of different ways that we can tweak an assembly as we're taking it off to help it adapt to the specific needs of that takeoff. So I'm going to click on a 15 amp receptacle here. I'm going to take off 12 gauge wire with it and 10 feet of it. And this is our standard assembly out of the database. Nothing, no changes, just whatever is in the database. Next up here, if I click on this again, I'm going to add something to it. So I'm going to click on this edit button here. And this allows us to edit this assembly as we're taking it off here. And this is going to make changes to it specific to this line of takeoff. So let's say that I wanted to add some conduit to this receptacle for whatever reason. I'm going to say 3/4 inch conduit, and I'm going to say I want 10 feet for every count of this receptacle. So I'm going to add that in. That's going to go into the bill of materials for this specific instance and takeoff of this receptacle. And I can close that, and now I can go and count those receptacles. Now, when I take this off, it's going to go into my audit trail, and it's going to be highlighted to indicate that this assembly was modified from the global assemblies. And if I expand this out, I can see in here that we now have 20 feet of EMT 3/4 added into our takeoff for this specific count of receptacles. Next up here, I'm going to take off another one of these standard assemblies. And we'll see that this comes in with, indicating that nothing has changed from the global database. However, when I expand any of these out, we can see that we can directly manipulate the quantities in here. If I come back and for some reason realize I needed a different amount of cable on this, I can update this. So I can say that I want 25 feet of cable on this. And we'll see that this row has now been highlighted to indicate that the quantities have been adjusted. So this symbol up here indicates that this assembly was modified from the global database. This symbol indicates that the quantities were directly manipulated in the extension of this assembly. If I extend this out, I can do both. So in here, if I suddenly wanted 25 feet of EMT as part of this takeoff, it's going to indicate that the quantity has been adjusted here. But if I reload this table here, it's going to show me that both the assembly and the quantities have been updated for this specific audit trail row. Now, if you have updated the quantities on anything in here or directly manipulated it, you can do an assembly refresh. However, be aware that refreshing the assembly will refresh all instances of that assembly. So if I right click and do an assembly refresh on this, it's going to update all instances of that and replace those quantities with the newly calculated quantities in here. So these are some ways that we can very quickly update, manipulate, and adjust our takeoff to adapt our assemblies to the individual needs of the scenario that we're working in.